It was just another quiet evening, the kind where the world seems to pause, leaving you alone with the ambient hum of the house and the company of your own thoughts. I had just gotten home from work, carrying the usual weariness of the day, nothing extraordinary, just the familiar rhythm of my life. In a way, I had grown fond of these patterns, the predictable flow, the comforting monotony. That evening, like so many others, I stepped into the shower. It was my sacred moment of solitude, a place to let the warmth of the water wash away the day. Wait, and to simply exist in the quiet, my eyes closed, my thoughts wandering. I was completely lost in the soothing cascade when a sound broke through the haze. The door creaked open. At first I dismissed it as the old house settling, a noise I had grown used to ignoring, but then came another sound, a soft footstep on the hardwood floor, followed by the distinct click of the door gently closing. My breath hitched for a moment. I stood frozen, unsure if I had imagined it. "Sorry," a voice said, low and hesitant. "I didn't mean to startle you." I turned my head slightly, my pulse quickening through the steam-cloaked air. I could make out a shadow just beyond the shower curtain. It was Oliver, my roommate. His voice carried a strange mix of urgency and caution. "Oliver," I asked, my voice trembling slightly, a mix of surprise and confusion, "what are you doing here?" There was a pause, a silence so heavy it seemed to fill the room. "I didn't know you were home," he finally replied, his voice softer now. "I heard the water running, and I guess I just wanted to talk to you." The tension in the room shifted, morphing into something unspoken yet undeniable. I felt the weight of his presence on the other side of the thin curtain. My instinct was to retreat and wrap myself in the protective shell of distance, but something stopped me. "Talk to me," I asked, my voice quieter now. "About what?" "I don't know," he admitted. "I've just been thinking about you a lot." The words hung in the air, delicate and fragile. I could feel my defenses wavering, my carefully constructed walls beginning to crack. For so long I had kept people at arm's length, afraid of vulnerability, of being truly seen, but now in the steamy silence of that small bathroom, I felt something shift in Oliver. I began unsure of where my words were leading. "Why now? Why tonight?" "Because I couldn't keep it to myself any longer," he said, stepping closer. His shadow loomed larger now, his presence filling the space between us. "I don't want to make you uncomfortable. I just needed to tell you." I took a deep breath, the warmth of the water grounding me. "Come in," I said, surprising myself as the words left my mouth, "but only if you promise to respect my boundaries." His hesitation was brief but palpable. "Of course," he said, his voice steady, "only if you're sure." I nodded, my heart pounding as I watched the curtain move slightly. The space between us felt charged, not with fear but with a raw, unspoken connection. We didn't say much as he stood there, the steam wrapping around us like a cocoon. The silence was no longer empty, it was filled with understanding, with a shared vulnerability neither of us had expected. The days that followed were different, though not in any dramatic way. It was in the little things, the way we moved around each other, the quiet moments of connection that didn't need words. There was a new kind of awareness, a subtle shift that changed everything without altering anything. One evening Oliver invited me to dinner. I hesitated, unsure of the implications, but ultimately accepted. As we sat across from each other, the soft glow of the candlelight casting shadows on his face, I noticed how his gaze lingered on me, not in an intrusive way, but with a warmth that made me feel seen in a way I hadn't felt in years. "How old are you?" he asked, his voice gentle. I paused, caught off guard by the simplicity of the question. "I'm figuring things out," I admitted. "This is new for me. We don't have to define anything right now," he said, his tone reassuring. "I'm here for whatever this is for you." His words settled over me like a blanket, comforting and grounding. For the first time in a long time, I allowed myself to lean into the uncertainty, to let go of the need for control. As the evening stretched on, we talked about everything and nothing, building a foundation that felt both fragile and unbreakable. Weeks passed, each day bringing new moments of discovery. One night, as we walked through the park under the soft glow of street lamps, Oliver broke the comfortable silence. "Have you been thinking about this?" he asked, his voice breaking through my thoughts. About us, I replied, turning to face him. He nodded, a small smile tugging at the corners of his lips. Yeah, about where this is going. I stopped walking, the cool night brushing against my skin. I don't want to rush into anything I said, my voice steady, but I didn't want to walk away from it either. Then don't, he said simply. I'm not going anywhere. Let's just take this one moment at a time. His hand found mine, a small gesture that spoke volumes. In that moment, I realized I didn't need all the answers. I didn't need to know where this would lead. All I needed was to be present, to let the connection grow in its own time. As we stood there hand in hand, I felt a quiet certainty settle over me. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't afraid of vulnerability. I wasn't afraid of being seen. Whatever the future held, I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't alone anymore. Please don't go without liking this video. It means everything to me, and hit that subscribe button. I'm begging you. Your support keeps me going, and I promise you won't regret it. Thank you so much.